Hello, everybody. It is Thursday, March 12th, and welcome back to the Nick Watkins Show. I'm Nick Watkins. Let's get into it. We are going to start today with baseball. There's a lot of big stories in baseball, especially the WBC, mostly the WBC, but we're going to talk about all of it because it is crazy what's going on. So we're going to start with the game from yesterday because this kind of I don't want to say it's not like the start of the story, but it is important to note that yesterday there were two games to decide seeding for the WBC playoff and one game to determine who was going to go in. All these games mattered a lot. The first game was Canada beating Cuba 7-2 and ensured that Canada would be the one seed as they went 3-1, but they have the tiebreaker over Puerto Rico. So Canada is the one seed in Pool A, and then in Pool D, the Dominican beat Venezuela 7-5 yesterday. So the Dominican will be the one seed, Venezuela will be the two seed. Dominican will take on, I believe, Korea, and Venezuela will have to play Japan. They'll play Japan. So, and the other big game that pertains to the United States was Italy and Mexico. This game was hugely important. There were a number of outcomes that could have come from this game, but the one that happened is Italy won 9-1, meaning that the United States advances to the next round along with Italy because they won the game. So because Italy won this game 9-1, what that means is Italy advances as the one seed, and the United States of America sneak in as the two seed from this pool, Pool B. And we have so much to talk about, mostly concerning the United States, but I do want to give a quick, not quick, I want to shout out Italy because they were not the favorite going into this tournament, and they were in a pretty stacked pool with the United States, the super team, and Mexico, who's another very strong team. And Italy ran the table. They went 4-0. They beat the United States. They dominated against Mexico yesterday. And they're the one seed from Pool B. I don't think anybody saw that happening. I do want to say I did have them making it, just not as the one seed. I did not expect them to run the table. So major props to Italy, especially their captain Vinny Pasquantino, who did not have a hit in any of the first three games of the WBC. And yesterday he had three homers in the game, three solo homers that allowed Italy to beat Mexico. So a big game from the Italian captain. Just it's pretty impressive what they did. They're a fun group, high energy team, and they are the ones who will take on Puerto Rico. That game will be on Saturday. The United States, meanwhile, will play Canada, which is fun. We'll talk about that later. But I want to go and talk about Team USA because there's a big, big story that came out, and we have to talk about it. So by now, you all know that the United States they lost to Italy 8-6 on Tuesday night. Big upset that you know it could have knocked the United States out if Mexico were to have won yesterday, but the United States thankfully snuck in to the playoff round. But this is a big deal, and I this is why it's a big deal. On Monday, when the United States of America beat Mexico 5-3, they thought they had already clinched their spot in the WBC playoff. They thought they had punched their ticket. That's the words that manager Mark DeRosa used. Everybody on the team thought that they had already clinched the playoff spot for the tournament and that it did not matter if they won or lost against Italy. The consequence of that is they went out and they partied and they celebrated because they thought they had clinched, and they showed up to the next game hungover, possibly, and this was the problem because the United States did not actually clinch with their win against Mexico. There was still a chance for them to miss the postseason, not the postseason, but there was still a chance for them to miss the playoff if they lost to Italy, which they did because they thought they didn't have to win this game. This is a massive, massive problem, and it can't be understated. What are we doing here? I mean, seriously, what are we doing? Do you not like? Do they seriously not know that they needed to win this game in order to secure their playoff spot? We could have missed the playoff if Mexico had won yesterday. If the result had been different, the United States, the team favored, the dominant favorite, the dream team, the Avengers for baseball, could have made it. Could have missed the playoff round because of this silly mental error. And it's not even like a mental error. It's just a complete catastrophe of management of the situation. I don't know how this happened. I really don't know how this is possible, but somehow that's what we're dealing with here. It's it's nuts. Um it really is. It's baffling. That's why I'm finding it hard to talk about it because I mean, what are we doing here? The United States thought they had clinched against Mexico. They thought they were already in, and they showed up to this game against Italy dragging, maybe hungover, and not giving their full effort. And they lost the game 8-6, and they almost missed the playoff because of this error. And it's not even just that. Like every single run in this tournament matters. If you consider the tiebreaker, the way the format works, it's by run differential. Every single run in this tournament is so valuable. And the United States, they went out there against Italy thinking they had already clinched, and they just kind of half assed it. They weren't trying their hardest. And they left people on base like they have been doing this whole tournament. But it wasn't until really the seventh inning when they were down 8-0 in the sixth it wasn't until the seventh inning that they actually started trying. Maybe they realized that they were not correct in assuming that they had already advanced. I don't know what it was, but if it wasn't for Pete Crow Armstrong, the United States might have missed the playoff because he hit 2 home runs, and those were 4 big runs right there that he knocked in addition to the eighth inning with Roman Anthony getting a single. But it's so stupid. It was dumb. That's really the word. I do want to shout out John Boy Media for making the video about it. He's so good at what he does. And I love JM. They're so good over there. But I mean, what are we doing? And I was gonna make this point yesterday when we didn't know this story had happened or we didn't know about the story, but it pertains more so now. It really feels like the United States are not trying their hardest. That's the way it looks. If you look at the game, if you actually watch the game, every single pitch, the United States do not look like they're playing up to their full potential. And this is a team chock full of all stars and MVPs, the best players in the world, and they barely got into the playoff. And if you look at all 4 games from the pool play, it was not pretty. It was not full strength United States. It was not good enough. And that's honestly the truth. We strand base runners. We're not trying our hardest. And this is a lineup 1 through 9 of the best hitters in baseball. And we should be scoring double digit runs every single game. We should be winning by double digits every single game. This is the best team in the tournament on paper. If you actually watch the games, the United States are not playing like they're not even playing like top 4. They're in the teams that made the playoff, the 8 teams, the United States, what they're playing, the group play and the pool play, they'd be considered bottom half of those 8 teams. It's unacceptable, really, especially if you look at what the Dominican is doing and what Japan is doing, and Korea and Venezuela putting all their effort into it. If you look at the teams at the top, especially the DR and Japan, they are balling out and they are having fun while doing it, and the energy is through the roof, especially for the Dominican. And you look at the U.S., and they are being very lackadaisical. They are being very, they're just not trying. They're not trying hard enough. And I sincerely hope that this scare of almost missing the playoff just awakens the United States. It shocks them into playing better baseball because the way we played in the pool play is not good enough to win the whole thing, let alone a game in the playoffs. So I do think that if we had missed it, completely different story. But I do think that us losing to Italy is a probably the best thing that could have happened for this team because they would have just lollygagged into the postseason, assuming they were going to win the whole thing. I get strong 2025 Dodger vibes from the United States. Going into this season, it was like the pool play is just a formality. We know you're going to make it, so you don't have to try as hard and just skip to the playoff. That obviously we know now it wasn't that simple. The United States almost missed the playoff, but I hope, like the Dodgers this past postseason, that when they get to the playoff, they lock in, they turn it on, they go up to a whole new level. Because when we going into the postseason, last postseason, the thinking was, man, the Dodgers are vulnerable. Someone could take them down, but they turned it up when it mattered most, and they won the whole thing. And I really, really hope the United States are able to do the same thing because they look vulnerable right now, and we know they're the best team. Actually, we don't know that. They're not playing like that. There are still questions as to who's the best team. But they look like, on paper, the best team, probably the best team. And they have not been playing like that. And hopefully, now that we're in the playoff and they got a shock into their system, they'll wake up, they'll lock in, and they'll go ballistic on everybody that they play from here on out. That's what they have to do, or else they're not gonna win it. And it was like winning was basically guaranteed. It was like a no contest. The United States are going to take it, no problem. And instead, they just had, you know, um, yeah, it's ridiculous. Is really what it is. Not a good look for the United States of America. Not a good look for Mark DeRosa. He's a TV analyst. I like him a lot. I think everybody likes Mark DeRosa, but there are questions of is he competent enough to manage this team. This is the best team in the world, theoretically. And you couldn't get one MLB manager to do this. You couldn't get a retired manager to do this. You can have your pick. You can get Roberts, you can get Boone, you can get anybody you want. You could even get Vitello. He hasn't even managed an MLB game. Same as DeRosa, right? If we had not made it, he is out the door, fired. Thankfully, we didn't make it, but if Mexico had won yesterday, or if Italy had won and Mexico scored four or less, I don't even want to think about that. So that's baseball. But now, no, it's not baseball. It's not all. We're gonna preview now the postseason for the WBC. It's a good one. All these teams that made it are very good. I do want to shout myself out though because I went 7 for 8 of my predictions. I even predicted Italy correctly. The one team I did not see making it, and they did make it, was Canada. I did not see that coming. Um, Although I wasn't the most confident in Cuba, but I just thought they would be better than Canada. I thought wrong. So did a lot of people because Canada actually won their group. Canada was the winner of Pool A. And taking a look at the standings from Pool A, it was Canada went 3-1, and Puerto Rico, they went 3-1 as well. But the key was Canada beat Puerto Rico head to head, and that's how Canada got the 1 seed. Pretty surprising. I think PR, if they had all their players, then there's no doubt that they win the pool. But because of the insurance issues, Canada is the one who takes Pool A, and because of that, they will face the United States of America, which is a just such a fun matchup. We had USA versus Canada for the women's gold medal game in hockey. We had USA versus Canada for the men's gold medal game in hockey. And now we have USA Canada in the first round, the quarterfinal of the World Baseball Classic. That is just so funny to me. And this rivalry, which is mostly a hockey rivalry, it's now coming over to baseball. I bet that people are already getting riled up for this game. And it's just great that the USA and Canada are playing competitive sports against each other. This is the third time in less than a month that the US and Canada are facing off in a playoff game in a respective sport tournament, and I can't wait for it. But here's the key difference: hockey is Canada's sport. Baseball is our sport. You don't even need quotation marks for that. Baseball is our sport. If we were to lose this game to Canada, while it's not the same magnitude as an Olympic gold medal game, the humiliation would be worse. Because for Canada, when they lost the gold medal game, it was like, well, Hellebuck was amazing, and we tried very hard, and it was pretty evenly matched. This is not evenly matched at all. The United States is the clear favorite in this game, and if we were to lose this game, the humiliation would be endless, and it would be complete and total failure and just the most embarrassment possible, which is why we need to win this game, because if we don't, we're never, ever going to live it down. So it's very important. Looking at the probable pitching matchup, this is key. We'll talk about it more in depth tomorrow, but it's Webb and Soroka. I think Soroka's the best pitcher for Canada, and Webb, while he's not the best pitcher for the United States, he is one of the best in the world, and I'm I'm happy for him. We'll talk about that tomorrow though when we preview it. The other game, we'll actually go to the pool now. We'll talk about Pool B. Pool B was won by Italy, and I think 99.9% of people in the world would think that the United States would have won this pool and Mexico would be behind them. I did not think Italy was going to be the one seed. I had them making it. I did. I'm proud to say that I picked that correctly. But as the one seed going 4-0, that is the shock, and it's pretty wild. Pretty well. But Italy is you can see why they did it. They're a fun group. They have great chemistry. They have all the celebrations, the espresso shots, the kisses. They're a fun team, and they play like it. They play with a ton of energy and passion, and that's why they're the one seed and the United States isn't. That's just the truth. Just to fire more shots at the USA. But the USA did fortunately make it as the two seed. And I'd argue that I'd rather play Canada over Puerto Rico. So I guess it kind of worked out in that regard. But we've said all that needs to be said about the United States of America. They just need to turn it around. They need to lock in. That's the truth. So let's look at Pool C. Pool C went like I expected, just not as it was a lot closer than I thought though. Japan easily won. I think they won all their games. They did win all their games. They won all their games 4-0. The defending champs back in the playoff. We knew that was going to happen. And then Korea, redemption from 2023, missing the playoffs. They go 2-2, but they had the tiebreaker and the run differential over Australia. So they made it. Korea, captain Jung Hoo Lee. He's a giant. He's awesome. And I don't know who's going to be pitching for him. Might be Dunning. I'm not completely sure. Might be Hyunjin Ryu. How funny would that be? But Korea will be taking on the winner of Pool D. The team that is the most fun and is playing like the best team, and they're just a treat to watch. It's the Dominican Republic. These guys are bat flipping home runs while up by double digits, and they're going nuts anytime anything happens. And it's honestly super fun to watch. What the DR is doing is what the WBC is all about. And in addition, Venezuela, who finished second in that pool, they do the same thing. So the Dominican Republic and Venezuela, those two countries, this tournament for them so far encapsulates what the WBC is all about. It's about these guys, these stars from the MLB, coming together for their home country and just going nuts anytime anything happens. They hit a home run, they're flipping the bat to outer space and they're celebrating with the whole team going around the bases. If they strike somebody out, they're pointing their chest, they're holding up their country's name and the flag on the side of the hat. they're just so passionate about the game and about their mostly about their country, and it's just so fun to watch these two teams play. If anything, the United States needs to learn from them too because they are just so fun to watch and they're killing it. I mean, the DR went 4-0. They scored 12, 12, 10, and 7. Venezuela went 3-1. They only lost to the DR, and they had a ton of fun. And both teams are at the top of their game. They're playing extremely good baseball right now. I can see them going far. Well, not Venezuela because they have to take on Japan, but that's gonna be. I think that is the best game of the first round is Venezuela Japan. It's gonna be a challenge for Venezuela to win, but those are probably the two best teams in a respective game. So there's that. But the DR and Puerto Rico, or not DR, not Puerto Rico, the DR and Venezuela are so fun to watch, and they are what the WBC is all about. So that's the WBC. Let's go over to spring training now, where the Giants won yesterday, 5-2. Tyler Mahle, 3 innings pitched, 3 walks and a hit, struck out one, no runs. Ryan Walker, 1 inning pitched, 1 strike. Look out. Thank you. Ryan Walker, 1 inning pitched, 1 strikeout. Um, nice. Like to see that from the probable closer. We'll see. Giants take on the White Sox tonight. Oh, it's gonna be televised. That's nice. Let's go to some. Oh my goodness, what is this? Big moves. Big moves going on. The first move involving the 49ers, they just cut Bryce Huff. Well, that's unfortunate. I liked Bryce Huff. He was hurt though. So, but here's the big news. We're going to talk about this one. The 49ers just very recently signed Dre Greenlaw to a 1 year, $7.5 million contract. Let's talk about Dre. He is one of my favorite players of all time for the 49ers. He is an all pro, former all pro linebacker on the week to Fred Warner's Mike linebacker spot, the best in the world, as they call themselves. I was so disappointed when he left for Denver in free agency, but he got released a couple days ago, and now he signed with the 49ers, back with the team that drafted him back in 2019 and the team he turned into a star on. His energy, his constant physicality is something this team probably missed last year, and I'm just so happy he's back on the team. And I do want to say this because I can't remember if I said this before, but I probably should have. If Dre Greenlaw doesn't get hurt in the Super Bowl running onto the field, we're winning that game. He was locking down Travis Kelce, and he probably would have punched Mahomes in the mouth and not, got a fumble on that because that's the type of guy he is. I love Dre Greenlaw, and I'm so, so happy he's back on the 49ers. In addition to the contract for Dre Greenlaw, only $7.5 million. That is nothing compared to what he signed for with the Broncos and what he should be making. He should be making as much as any linebacker in the league, with the exception of Fred Warner and maybe Roquan Smith. But he is an extremely good player, and 7.5 is nothing for what he'll bring to this team. I'm so happy he's back. You guys, so happy. Let's talk basketball. Um, the Magic beat the Cavs in big terms of big games. The Clippers beat the Timberwolves by a lot. Here's the game I want to bring a quick point on. 129-193. The Nuggets beat the Rockets. Grant said this, so I want to shout him out. I agree with his point. The Rockets are frauds. They are. I said this before when we had Grant on the show like a month ago or so. I asked them, said, which team is the most fraudulent in the West out of the top teams? And we agreed it was the Rockets. We agreed then, and this performance cemented that because they did not show up at all against the Nuggets. And if you take a look at the teams they've lost to in a recent sample, they lost to the Nuggets, like I mentioned. They lost to the Spurs. They lost to us somehow. They lost to the Knicks, and they lost to the Heat. With the exception of the Warriors, those are all really good teams. They did beat the Raptors, but other than that, I mean, who have they beaten? Like, they lose to the Spurs, they lose to the Thunder, they lose to the Nuggets. Those are all the top teams in the Western Conference. I bet they lost to the Lakers too. I mean, at some point they had to. Oh no, they actually beat the Lakers. But I consider the Rockets to be frauds. So there you go. Um, Only 2 games for hockey yesterday. They don't pertain to the West. But what that means is there was 2 games yesterday. It means that there are, just making sure there's not like a double header or anything. A double header, but like a back to back for these teams. It was the Flyers and the Capitals. There's the Capitals. So the Flyers should be there as well. The Senators, no Senators to be seen. So there were 2 games yesterday. 2 of those teams are on back to backs, which means that there are 14. 14? No. Yeah. There were 2 games in hockey yesterday, and 2 of those teams are on back to backs. So there are 14 games going on today around the National Hockey League. This is a huge, huge day, a pivotal point in the season where teams, especially in the West, can be going up and down the leaderboards with a single win or a loss. It's going to be so important. So let's preview the standings before we look at all the teams that are playing. Let's take a look at the Eastern Conference quickly. You have the Hurricanes, and then the Sabres and the Lightning, and the Canadiens. That's the top 4. Then the Penguins. Then you have the Red Wings, the Islanders, and then 8 is the Bruins. Then the Blue Jackets are in 9th with 76, so they're actually 2 points back of the Bruins, with the exception of the Blue Jackets, who have been kind of cooled off after their red hot stretch. There are really only 9 teams in serious contention for the playoffs. I mean, the Senators are kind of close, but I don't know if they're going to be able to catch the Bruins. They could catch the Bruins, you never know. But for the Eastern Conference today, the key is going to be who moves around where, because it doesn't look like there are going to be any teams catching up to the playoff teams. Like the teams in the hunt, they're probably going to stay in the hunt. So for the Eastern Conference today, it's going to be who moves around where, because you take a look at the Hurricanes, only lead the Sabres by 2. The Lightning, Canadiens, they're tied with 82. And then the Red Wings, Bruins, Islanders, and Penguins are all separated by 1 point or less. So it's going to be key to see who moves around where, because there are some big time matchups going on. We'll see what's going on there. But let's take a look at the Western now. In the West, it's the top 3. It has been that way. It always will be for the remainder of the season. The Avs, the Stars, and the Wild, 95, 90, 87. Now, this is where it gets super condensed and super crazy. The Ducks are 8-2 in their last 10 games, 4th with 75 points, followed by the Mammoth with 73 and 5th, and then a whole bunch of Pacific teams. The Oilers, the Golden Knights, both have 72. The Kraken and the Kings both have 67. They are in 8 and 9. And then the Sharks are in 10 with 66. And so are the Preds, 11 with 66. It is so, so close. The Sharks and the Predators at the low end of the teams in playoff contention with 66. If you look at the Ducks, who are in 75, and the leader of the pack, not that, the pack that isn't the Wild, the Avalanche, and the Stars, they're only separated by 9 points. Those are a lot of games, a lot of points. However, that's still razor thin, and this day is a key day to see who will move around in the East and in the West, because they're both so close. And today, with basically everybody playing except for the Canadiens and the Senators, it's going to be crazy, and we're probably going to see a ton of movement. Let's take a look at where the Sharks are, though. The Sharks play the Bruins. Tough game in Boston. The Ducks take on the Maple Leafs. Ducks probably going to win that one. You take a look at the Oilers, have the Stars. Tough draw for them. The Mammoth have the Blackhawks. They're favored in that one. Preds, excuse me, have the Canucks favored in that one. Um, Actually, I don't see the Kings. There's only 13 games going on today. I apologize. So, yeah. The Golden Knights have the Penguins, kind of a tough draw. And the Kraken have the Avalanche, which is great news for us because the Avalanche are the best team in the league. If the Sharks can manage to gain 2 points on, or just 1 point even, in this game against the Bruins and the Kraken lose, we'll be tied for that spot. And the Kings don't play, so there's a chance for us to gain points on the Kings as well. The Kings, who did gain 1 point on Tuesday after their overtime loss to the Bruins as well. But it's going to be such a key day for hockey. It's going to be intriguing. So we're going to wrap it up here, though. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.